I recently saw this statement. If you don't retire a millionaire, that's your fault. And that's what Dave Ramsey said. And my first reaction was, Dave, that's kind of harsh, isn't it? It's kind of unfair. You don't know what people's circumstances are. And I said, it's also thought, man, it's kind of easy for you to say you're a multimillionaire. But then I thought, man, if people could just see these numbers, it would change everything. If they saw these numbers earlier in their working career, what numbers am I talking about? Folks, on this channel, we set up spreadsheets. Our channel is called $1,000,000 Made Easy, and we simply set up numbers and run numbers. For example, if you could save $150 a month when you're in your 20s, again, $150 a month, that would be a little bit over 3% of somebody making $50,000 a year. Somebody in their 20s, you can save $150 a month and simply increase that by 3% a year. That's what these numbers show. Folks, what we do on this channel is we simply run the numbers of what's happened for the last 100 years, and we project ahead what similar returns might do for you in the future. These are the returns for the S&P 500. We include the depression type years because that kind of gives us a worst case scenario. But look at these numbers, folks. I want you to go through these numbers. See, $150 a month, increasing that by 3% a year. If you're, for example, 30 years old, 29 years old, and you have 36 years till you retire, folks, over the last 100 years, putting in $150 a month, using the returns for the last 100 years, just the percentages here, increasing that by 3% a year, you would have 636,000 in the worst case scenario. This red row is the worst case scenario for these different time periods. That would be 636. That'd be using numbers from 1939. You can see them going down through it right here. After 36 years, you'd have to 35 years to have 858,000, and actually the next year it dropped because of what happened in the market. But again, you'd have 636,000, the worst case scenario in the last 100 years. Look at what happens, folks. That's 38% of the time you get to a million using these numbers. It's color coded in green going down through here. 8% of the time, you don't see any in this row, but that's blue all the way through there. This is the numbers that we're going to be using, color coded. Watch what happens when we go to 38 years. If you're, for example, 27 years old and have 38 years till you reach age 65, 71% of the time you'd get to $1,000,000. Again, color coded in green. 16% you'd actually get to 1.5 million, and that's actually 5% of the time you'd be a double millionaire. That's saving $150 a month. Again, if people could just see these numbers when they're in their 20s and can save just a little over 3% of somebody making 50,000, just save $150 a month. Watch what happens if you have, say, age 25 years old. You're out of college, you can save 3%. 90% of the time you would reach millionaire status. There's one time in there you wouldn't. Actually, there's a couple times, but 930,000, you see it sticking out there like a sore thumb. If we had numbers like 1935 going forward, that's the only time you wouldn't make it to $1,000,000. The median is always this row right here, the median, and the highest you're going to see is this row right here. Look what happens when we hit age 42. Again, 97% of the time you get to a million at age 40, after 40 years. What happens if you're 23 years old? Graduated from college, and you can do this 100% of the time you get to a million. The worst case scenario is $1.148 million. It looks like it's right there using 1933 numbers. But look at this, folks. 100% of the time you get to a million. 78% of the time, color coded in blue again, you get to 1.5 million. And it's 25% of the time you actually get to 2 million. Watch how much gold you see, though, as you go out to 44 and 45 years. Look at these numbers, folks. Again, somebody that's 21 years old, somebody maybe 20 years old, saving just $150 a month. Worst case scenario for a 45-year-old to be $1.514 million. The median of this column is 2.474. Here's the actual breakdown. 100% of the time you get to a million, 100% of the time you get to 1.5 million, and 85% of this row for the last 100 years, you'd get to over $2 million. You'd be a double millionaire. Now, the question comes up, obviously, that's not going to the same buying power, but we're asking the question, why in the world is it so hard to get to $1 million? And if you don't retire a millionaire, that's your fault. What would these numbers be in 40 and 44 and 45 years when you're reaching this $2 million mark. Again, the buying power of these right here, they're always, I have this rectangle right here to include inflation. If we have an inflation rate of 3%, which is what it's averaged over the last 100 years, what would the buying power of, for example, this $2.474 million, the median in this column, they have the buying power of 654,000. So that's in today's dollars. You wouldn't be a millionaire by today's standards, but you'd still be a millionaire 45 years from now. What would that 654,000 do for you? Again, I saw this recently. The average American had about 170,000 saved up when the recommended amount is 555,000. Remember that number, 555,000. That's in today's dollars. Where would you be 45 years from now? You'd have over 555,000. In fact, after 44 years, you have over 555, and after 42 years, you'd just be just under 513,000. This is the median buying power of these amounts down here. But all these amounts down here, you'd basically be a millionaire, which is what we're talking. How do you get to millionaire status? But I want to be fair here to what the buying power that would be, but still, you'd be well above what the recommended amount is compared to in today's dollars, what everybody's recommended 10 times your annual salary or whatever. But I just wanted to run the numbers to show you it doesn't take that much. And folks, can you imagine if you just saved $200 a month? All these numbers would be up 33% higher. In fact, if you wanted to get to $1 million for sure, just watch what $250 a month would do. That would get us to the $1 million in buying power. Watch what happens when I do $250 a month over a 45-year period, which would be 6% of somebody making 50,000. Taking just taking a little bit of time to recalculate all this, $1 million in buying power. That's the kind of money you would have saving $250 a month, which is 6% of somebody making $50,000 a year. But I think if people would just see these numbers when they're in their 20s, when they have these kind of time periods for it to uh, compound for you, that it's snowball. It just takes off when you get the money in there early, and it doesn't take that much money to do it. Folks, that's what we do on this channel. We set up spreadsheets, we run numbers for you. In this channel, this video, we just wanted to show you what compounding can do for you if you get it in there early. So again, Dave Ramsey might seem kind of unfair and kind of harsh when he's saying this, but he knows if you can just get the money in there early and let it go, let the snowball effect of compounding work for you, you're going to have these kind of sums in these kind of time periods, even in buying power right here. You'd have over $1 million many times over the next 42, 45 years. Get it in there young. Be sure and share this channel with young people. Let them see this. Let them know, yes, they can be retired millionaires, even having $1 million in buying power in these kind of time periods. If they just get in there early, these smaller amounts, and look where they can be in just by the time they reach retirement. Folks, welcome to our channel. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Please let people know about this channel. We love to run numbers for people. We love to bounce off what people are saying. And sometimes, like I said, it sounds kind of cruel what he said, but there's so much truth to what he says if you get started young. Please like the video, and thanks for watching.